How much of breaches are based on social media use?
Now, I don't have that number off the top of my head. Like, I know about 200, like, retailers don't know that they've had a breach for about 200 days. But
Oh, wow.
as far as the social media ones, I don't have that percent off the top of my head. But I do know every time I get together with some of my InfoSec groups, it comes up because a lot of companies are now wanting to limit how their employees use social media at their job, just because of, I hate to use the Facebook word, but we're going to use Facebook, and how Facebook and Google monitors people's traffic within websites. So a lot of companies that are especially working on primarily secretive things, they are trying to get away from their employees with using those type of things because they're afraid that a file will automatically get attached. They're afraid that Google and Facebook will automatically start to build different decisive manners around the movements that are going on the website. So there is a concern within the InfoSec community about using social media at work and even outside of work, because you have employees that go home, they sign on remote work, and then they're also doing their Facebook. And oops, now I've just sent off my company's budget for the year.
Yeah. And you know, I think a lot of this also needs to be communicated to the employees from day one when they're hired. The education component of cybersecurity is, I think, grossly underrated, when in fact, you could probably stop about 70 or 80% of the problems if you simply educated the employees properly and told them what was sensitive, what they could do, what they couldn't do. And that involves their handling of company data. That involves their handling of company technology. That involves the handling of their own personal technology with regard to corporate resources. For example, let's say they have their own personal cell phone, but they have the company's email coming into it as well as their office computer. Well, there have to be certain policies and procedures in place that can protect the company's data if, for example, that person's cell phone is lost or stolen. They need some way to remotely delete potentially sensitive information. And so this is stuff that has to be communicated to the employees in an educational sense right from day one. Make them sign off on these. Make them understand how important it is to protect these things, because they are corporate assets, whether it's information or a physical, item, because it could lead to major problems if they don't. And I think you'd agree with me, Ebony, that there's a huge gap in the education, portion of this.
Yes, I mean, I completely agree. I was reading something the other day, though, that the Department of Justice was talking about, and InfoSec community was talking about how businesses were they were really being attacked through ransomware, holding someone's computer hostage, holding information hostage. And so they said that the hackers have moved from beyond just doing the ransomware, but focusing on businesses and those passwords. They're focusing on businesses for, them actually doing that, not leaving their cell phones here or at the coffee shop or leaving their credit cards, because you leave your credit card at the coffee shop and you get it returned back to you and you think everything is fine. Mm-hmm. But no, they've already taken a picture of the number and that number is now have been sold about 10 times.
Right. So, and you're not going to know about it until you get your next statement, and then you go, whoa, what happened here?
Exactly. So they're saying that, hackers aren't going for individuals as much as they used to, but that they are focusing a lot more on businesses and businesses that are not educated. And so that's why it's good that, professionals like yourself and myself and our colleagues are going out and we're speaking to these businesses, because they're not prepared, especially a business that has 50 or less employees. They don't understand that they need to get these things in line. They need to educate their employees, because the education part is what keeps the issues from going forward. I mean, now companies are putting little taglines that, in any email that comes in that says this email came from an external location. Did not come from a company. So it's those little things like that, those little steps that we continue to educate and continue to share information, hopefully within good communities, that we can start to combat some of these hacks.